Writing. Marcus readjusted the worn strap of his lunch bag as he locked the front door of his small apartment before sunrise. The hallway was quiet except for the distant hum of an elevator and the faint sound of rain tapping against the windows. Inside the apartment, the smell of oatmeal still lingered from breakfast, but Marcus had barely taken 2 bites before giving the rest to his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. She sat at the kitchen table wrapped in a soft blanket, her cheeks unusually pale and her forehead warm with fever. Marcus gently placed the back of his hand against her forehead again, hoping the temperature had dropped, but it hadn't. "It's okay, sweetheart," he said with a reassuring smile. "We'll stop by the clinic before school. You'll feel better soon." Lily tried to smile back even though she looked exhausted. She hated missing school, especially because she had a spelling test that morning. Marcus brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear and helped her into her jacket before carrying her backpack over one shoulder and lifting her into his arms. She rested her head against his chest, already drifting back to sleep as he walked toward the parking lot. The urgent care clinic was already crowded when they arrived. Parents with sleepy children filled the waiting room, and the receptionist apologized for the delay. Marcus glanced repeatedly at the time on his phone. Every passing minute increased the chance that he would arrive late to work. His supervisor expected everyone to be punctual, and although Marcus had an excellent attendance record, he worried that one late arrival might leave the wrong impression. After nearly 2 hours, the doctor confirmed Lily had a seasonal virus and prescribed medicine along with several days of rest. Marcus thanked the doctor, stopped at a nearby pharmacy to fill the prescription, and counted the remaining bills in his wallet. The medicine had cost more than he expected. After paying, only a few dollars remained. His elderly neighbor, Mrs. Hernandez, agreed to watch Lily for the afternoon. She welcomed the little girl with warm soup, a cozy blanket, and a promise to call immediately if anything changed. Marcus hugged his daughter goodbye, reminding her to drink plenty of water and get some sleep. "Don't worry about me," Lily whispered. "You'll be late." Marcus smiled. "You always come first." He hurried back to his aging sedan and drove across town toward the towering headquarters of Falcon Industries. The modern glass building reflected the gray morning sky, standing like a symbol of success and ambition. Hundreds of employees streamed through the revolving doors carrying coffee cups and laptops while Marcus parked near the service entrance reserved for maintenance staff. Checking the time, he realized he was nearly 40 minutes late. Taking a deep breath, Marcus walked directly to his supervisor's office instead of making excuses. "I'm sorry I'm late," he said honestly. "My daughter got sick this morning. I took her to the doctor before coming in." His supervisor looked up from a clipboard. "You've never been late before." "No, sir." The supervisor studied Marcus for a moment before nodding. "Get started. We have plenty to do today." "Thank you." Marcus didn't waste another second. Within minutes he had changed into his Navy maintenance uniform, gathered his toolbox, and began working through the list of repair requests that had accumulated overnight. A leaking pipe on the 3rd floor. A broken air conditioning vent in the conference center. Loose ceiling panels near the marketing department. A malfunctioning automatic door in the lobby. He moved from one task to another without complaint. Several employees greeted him warmly as he passed. "Morning, Marcus. Thanks for fixing the printer room yesterday. Appreciate your help." Marcus answered each greeting with the same quiet smile. He believed every job mattered, even if most people never noticed the work that happened behind the scenes. By late morning, sweat soaked through the back of his uniform despite the cool temperature inside the building. He had climbed countless flights of stairs, carried heavy equipment, and spent nearly an hour repairing an electrical panel in the basement. His stomach tightened with hunger. He realized he hadn't eaten since the few bites of oatmeal early that morning. Between the clinic visit, the pharmacy, and getting Lily settled safely, breakfast had become the last thing on his mind. He reached into his pocket and found only a couple of coins. That would not be enough for food outside the building. Fortunately, Falcon Industries proudly offered complimentary lunches to employees in its cafeteria, one of the benefits highlighted during orientation years earlier. Marcus had eaten there hundreds of times without any problems. The meals weren't extravagant, but they were hot, filling, and one less expense for employees trying to support their families. The clock finally reached noon. Marcus carefully wiped grease from his hands, washed up in the maintenance room, and straightened his uniform. His muscles ached from the morning's work, but the thought of a warm meal gave him enough energy to smile. As he walked toward the cafeteria, delicious aromas drifted through the hallway. Fresh bread, roasted chicken, vegetables, and soup filled the air. Employees laughed together while carrying trays loaded with food. Marcus joined the lunch line, grateful that despite the difficult morning, at least one part of the day seemed certain. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his employee identification badge, and waited patiently for his turn, completely unaware that within the next few minutes, one simple attempt to eat lunch would change his life forever, writing. Marcus waited patiently as the lunch line moved forward a few inches at a time. The cafeteria buzzed with conversation, clinking dishes, and the soft hum of coffee machines. Employees from every department gathered around long tables, laughing over meetings, weekend plans, and upcoming company projects. The smell of grilled chicken, fresh vegetables, baked bread, and hot soup filled the air, making Marcus realize just how hungry he had become. He picked up a tray, a fork, and a napkin before reaching the serving counter. A cafeteria employee smiled politely and began placing food onto his plate. Just as she reached for the vegetables, the cafeteria manager stepped forward. "Stop." The server froze. The manager looked directly at Marcus. "May I see your employee badge?" Marcus handed it to her without hesitation. She examined it for only a second before her expression changed. "Maintenance department?" "Yes, ma'am." "I'm sorry. You can't receive lunch here today." Marcus blinked in confusion. "I think there must be some mistake." "There isn't. I've eaten here for years. That policy has changed." Marcus looked surprised. "I wasn't informed about any change." The manager folded her arms. "Maintenance staff are no longer eligible for complimentary meals in this cafeteria." Several employees nearby stopped talking and quietly listened. Marcus kept his voice calm. "I wasn't told anything by human resources or my supervisor. That isn't my concern. I've been working since early this morning. I just need lunch before returning to work. I'm afraid you'll have to leave." Marcus remained respectful. "If there's been a misunderstanding, could someone verify it? Maybe human resources?" The manager shook her head. "I don't need to verify anything." Marcus looked around, hoping another employee might recognize the mistake, but everyone avoided getting involved. One young accountant quietly whispered to her coworker. "That doesn't sound right." Her coworker shrugged. "I've never heard of such a policy." Marcus heard them but chose not to respond. He simply asked again. "Would you mind checking the employee handbook?" The manager's voice became louder. "I said no." The cheerful conversations throughout the cafeteria slowly disappeared. Dozens of employees were now watching. Marcus could feel their eyes on him. Public embarrassment was something he had experienced before in life, but it never became easier. He slowly lowered his tray. "I don't want any trouble." "Then leave." The words echoed through the room. Marcus nodded quietly. "I understand." He placed the empty tray onto the counter and prepared to walk away. Just then, an older gentleman wearing simple dark trousers, a light blue button-down shirt, and no tie stepped into the cafeteria carrying only a coffee cup. His appearance was so ordinary that no one paid much attention to him. Instead of joining the serving line, he stopped several feet away and calmly observed the situation. He noticed Marcus's tired face. He noticed the untouched tray. He noticed the uncomfortable silence filling the cafeteria. After a few moments, he walked toward Marcus. "Excuse me," the gentleman said kindly. Marcus turned. "Yes, sir." "I couldn't help overhearing." Marcus looked slightly embarrassed. "I'm sorry you had to witness this." "What happened?" Marcus hesitated. "I don't really want to make a complaint. I simply asked what happened." Marcus answered honestly. "I was told maintenance employees aren't allowed complimentary meals anymore." The older man raised an eyebrow. "Is that what you were told?" "Yes." "And no one informed you beforehand?" "No, sir." "Were you disrespectful?" "No." "Did you break any cafeteria rules?" "No, sir." "Have you already worked today?" Marcus smiled slightly. "I've been repairing equipment since this morning." "You haven't eaten?" Marcus hesitated before admitting the truth. "No." The older gentleman looked toward the cafeteria manager. "Would you mind explaining the policy?" She answered confidently. "Only certain departments qualify for complimentary meals now." "When did that begin?" "This week." "Interesting." The gentleman smiled politely. "Who approved it?" "The company." "Which executive?" She paused. "It came from management." "What management?" She frowned. "I don't have to explain company decisions." The gentleman remained calm. "I'm simply asking who authorized the change." She crossed her arms. "I don't discuss internal decisions." Several employees exchanged uncertain glances. The older gentleman nodded thoughtfully. "I see." His voice remained calm. "Would you please come to the main cafeteria?" He listened briefly. "Yes." Immediately. He ended the call. Marcus looked uncomfortable. "Sir, really, it's all right." The gentleman smiled. "No. It isn't." Marcus sighed. "I don't want anyone getting into trouble because of me." The older man looked directly into Marcus's eyes. "Sometimes speaking up isn't about yourself. It's about everyone who comes after you." Within only a few minutes, the cafeteria doors opened again. Several senior executives entered quickly. Employees immediately recognized the Chief Human Resources Officer. Behind her came the Vice President of Operations. Then the Director of Employee Services. They weren't walking casually. They looked concerned. The cafeteria became completely silent. The executives walked straight toward the older gentleman. Without hesitation, each greeted him respectfully before asking, "Sir, is everything all right?" The cafeteria manager's confident expression suddenly disappeared. She stared at the older man in complete disbelief. Marcus looked equally confused. He had no idea why some of the company's highest-ranking executives had rushed into the cafeteria because of one maintenance worker who had simply asked for lunch. The older gentleman calmly handed Marcus's employee badge to the Human Resources Director. "I believe," he said quietly, "we have something that needs to be investigated immediately." Every person in the cafeteria held their breath, sensing that the next few minutes were about to reveal a truth no one had expected.